So Anna says, what kind of number is the tokenized word converted into? Is there a standard function applied to the word to convert it to a number? Okay, great question. So Anna, here you're kind of talking more specifically about like NLP related work. But when it comes to NLP, one of the first things you're gonna do is you're gonna tokenize your text, and it's basically just taking every word and assigning it a number. That's all you're doing. Every possible word, you're assigning it a number. So as you can imagine, the token dictionary, and it's usually referred to as a token dictionary, by the way. So as you can imagine, the token dictionaries can vary in size, and they'll definitely vary by language. But for example, in the English language, it's commonly accepted that there's about 20,000 words that are used in the English language. I think the total number is like 35,000, 40,000, but like in day-to-day conversations, it's like 20,000 words. So most dictionaries use that as like as a starting value, I guess you could say. And yes, there are some standard dictionaries out there. For example, a lot of the tutorials that you're going to come across, or maybe stuff in your schoolwork, is going to mention the NLTK, right? The Natural Language Toolkit. That's a toolkit that was put out, I believe that was put out by Meta or some engineers at Meta. So they have their own dictionary, their own tokenization. There are dictionaries that are based on social media that will take common words in social media. There are dictionaries that are based on Wikipedia, where they'll take kind of like all the words that you'd find in Wikipedia and tokenize those. And then beyond that, you get into some of the vectorization libraries or vectorization values. So the Stanford NLP lab has put out some of those dictionaries that are popular for that, or vectorization libraries that are popular for that. I think that one is WordNet. So I'll stop there because my intent is not to make this an NLP discussion. But yes, there are standardized libraries out there, or you can make your own. So like NLTK gives you the ability to make your own, right? Because you might be working in a domain that has particular words or particular lexicon that is important to that domain. So it just kind of depends on the application that you're working on. But yes, there are like, widely accepted general libraries that are out there. Okay. And we'll get to that if we ever decide to have like a dedicated NLP series. But yeah, I mean, that's just the quick answer. And I kind of don't want to go beyond that, because again, it's really not my intent to do NLP. It's really more about neural networks in general. Okay. Manoj, yes, word to vector. I think word to vector is the Stanford one, and then WordNet, I believe, is put out by other people, if I remember right. But yes, word to vector is the Stanford one. Thank you so much, Manoj. Brandon says, "Thank you for the insights." Yeah, you're welcome. Just just trying to give you guys the best information I can in the best format that I can. I know it's your first time here, Brandon, but this is kind of how all of my Sunday series go, or at least I try. At least I try to make them go like this. So Denelson also agrees with word to vector. Yeah, I think word to vector is the Stanford one. If you guys want to know more about this, just Google Stanford NLP Lab, and they have plenty of materials on their website. Okay, so let's keep going. So, where do neural networks fit? Right? And I want to give you this chart again, guys, because for me, this is kind of like the progression I have in my mind as far as like the different tools that you could be using, or the different ways you could be working with with kind of data science in general, right? You can start out with statistics, and then that leads to analytics, and then you go on to machine learning, and then you kind of work with neural networks, right? And I shared the story with you guys that you can pick up machine learning, with tutorials and models, the ISLR book, which is basically a machine learning book. If you're interested in that, you can find my series on my channel. Um, but to me, my learning like really took off, really like started blowing my mind when I started thinking about neural networks. Like when I read that book, I told you the Tariq Rashid book, that's where I thought like, oh, okay, this is why data science is so like powerful, right? When I started doing that, it was like, oh, okay, I get it now, right? So obviously it can go beyond this into AI and things like that. But then again, most AI is based in neural networks. But this is kind of like the stack or the progression that I would ask you to kind of keep in your mind as far as how these tools are all kind of relate to each other. Okay. So over on my YouTube vertical, I see Lallman. Lallman says, hope I wasn't too late. No, of course not, my friend. So Lallman, you are on my vertical live. You're welcome to stay there or come join us over on the horizontal, which is where you usually join us. You can probably click on my profile and it'll go to it should show you 2 live streams running at the same time. Okay. And actually, you know what? I kind of want to verify that real quick. So give me just a second here, guys. I kind of want to check that on my own. Yeah. So I'm looking at my own YouTube page and it is showing me as doing 2 live streams. And one of them I've called the vertical stream. So Lallman, right now you're on my vertical stream. You're welcome to join me on the widescreen, okay? Okay. Lallman is back. Lallman says, I was confused why you decided to go with the vertical one. So Lallman, that's a good story. Good question and a good story. So, because of my success due to you guys, and I really appreciate all of you for this. My channel has grown quite a bit over the last year. I do have my little YouTube plaque back there. So because of that, YouTube has sent me these invites to participate in these boot camps and like these like trainings, I guess you could say, for creators. And I have a what's it called, a community manager or something like that. That like they're supposed to be like my helper at YouTube, like if I ever need something. Um, and One of the things that YouTube has been doing over the past like 2 months is they've really been encouraging people like me to use the vertical format. They're really trying to have many, many more vertical live streams. I guess because they're comparing themselves to TikTok, maybe because TikTok obviously has a lot of vertical streams, so many more than YouTube. So they're kind of like encouraging people to do that, and they're encouraging people and saying, well, you can stream on 2 things. You can stream both horizontal and vertical if you want, which is kind of weird because I don't think any other platform lets you do that, like run 2 streams at the same time. But that's how much YouTube wants you to do it, because they're really encouraging people to do it. So I saw that this morning. They sent me a note about that this morning.